it's Ashley with Arbite Software, and we have a few special guests this time. We have our very first ever Emily on our series. She's with Arbite, she's our content creator, and she's very nervous right now.
Okay.
And then we also have Lauren Spoth. She works at Step Out Buffalo. She's the creative marketing director, and a year ago this month she opened her own company called the Buffalo Creative. So we're gonna dive into that. So if you could tell us about yourself and how the Buffalo Creative got started.
Yeah, sure. So Buffalo Creative got started, it's been, I feel like, a lifetime coming. I was always interested in social media. I had a Zanga page, if you guys even remember what Zanga was. It was like back in the day. And I'm also from the generation where to get a Facebook, you had to have a college email. So I remember like counting down till I got my college email so I could sign up for Facebook. I actually ended up starting like a blog in college that I kind of leveraged Facebook and Twitter to get in front of a lot of like people, like celebrities and famous people. I actually got the blog featured in Cosmopolitan as cover story once. And then I actually did my graduate thesis on Facebook and identities and things like that. So I've always kind of really been into social media. And then when I got hired at Step Out Buffalo, I was their first employee, and they were in the beginning phases of being a startup company. So they gave me a lot of freedom to be like, do whatever you want. So I was like, oh, social media, like, here we go. And then as it grew, I think when I took a hold of the Instagram, they had like 4,000 followers, and now they have almost 60,000. So I kind of really got to play with a lot of things and do a lot of experimenting. And one of the things that our sales guys get asked all the time, because we have an advertising division of Step Out, is can you guys run our Instagram or our social media for us? Because a lot of small businesses don't really have the time or the energy or the know-how to do it. So I was like, okay, I know there's a need for this. And I actually pitched the idea to Step Out Buffalo to be like, hey, if you guys want to do like a subsidiary, I'd be more than happy to kind of like help people with their Instagram if you want to sell that to people. And it didn't fit into the direction the company was going, but I was like, all right, well, I'm going to still do this because I think it's a good idea. So that's kind of how it got started. Like I said, it was a long time of like mulling it over, and I think I thought about it maybe for like a year or two before I actually like got the Instagram handle and did all that kind of stuff. So that's the TLDR version of how it got started.
How long have you been with Step Out Buffalo?
This is going to be my 5-year anniversary coming up. Wow. So yeah, they started in 2013, and I think I came on in 2015. Or March 2015. So it's going to be my 5-year anniversary this year.
Wow. So it's definitely been a long time in the making. Awesome.
Cool. So you mentioned that a lot of small businesses come to you or need social media. So I'm assuming that a lot of them are very niche. We're very niche.
Yes.
Our clients are very niche. So we were wondering if you could talk about what kind of social strategies work best with those niche industries and what kind of methods you find success with there.
So I think experimenting is the name of the game, and social media is kind of a blessed platform because you can literally do anything you want constantly all the time, and it's free. Like, you can just throw content out there. You can post 1 million times a day if you wanted to, and it doesn't matter because it's social media. So I think the name of the game, especially for niche markets, is experiment. Try a million different things and see what sticks. So maybe even things that you wouldn't even think of, like your audience could respond to them. You could be like, oh, okay, that's how we do that, and then just keep replicating the successful ones that you try. I also, something that we do a lot at Buffalo Creative and Step Out is what I call guerrilla marketing. So if you have an audience you want to get in front of, so say you're fitness niche and you want to get in front of the fitness community, there's a million people in the fitness community, find them and then start following them, liking their stuff, commenting their stuff, messaging them, being like, hey, we'd love to send you some free stuff, and just really leverage those connections that social media has to be like, hi, we want to connect with you, we want to connect with your audience, like, let's see how we can work together. And I think that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Why should B2B companies who target and serve super niche markets care about social media?
Oh my God, for so many reasons.
I knew you were going to say that. I felt like
for all of the reasons, especially niche markets. Like, if you guys remember, like back in the day before the days of the internet, which seemed like a million years ago, like how did you even reach people? Like, if you're a niche market, the general population probably isn't into what you're doing. So you're just like throwing darts at a wall, like hoping, one of them is a bullseye. But with social media, you can find people that are into your thing. So in the fitness example, you can go and like find fit mommy bloggers. You can find athletes. You can find CrossFit people and bodybuilders and, fitness, whoever. And you can be like, okay, I know how to find you. I can use hashtags. I can look at different gym geolocations or who gyms are reposting. I can do a million different things on social media to find you and then interact with you. So that's just something you really can't do anywhere else, really. Like, you can't just find all these people with a phone book,
Right. Yeah.
So where do you start when you take on a client who's in a really niche area? How do you start to strategize their social pages?
First of all, kind of finding out what their goals are. So who do you want to reach? Do you want to reach those mommy fitness bloggers, or do you want to reach, what do you want to do? Do you want to tell people this story, or do you want to tell people that story? Kind of figuring out, I think, what your goals are is the most important thing, because you have to have a reason for why you're doing what you're doing. You can't just
do it.
Yeah, just do anything. Just be like, no, you have to have a reason. Be like, okay, this is why I'm doing this. So I think figuring out your goal and then understanding your audience, so how to talk to them. So do all that experimenting and then be like, okay, this works for them, so I am going to use this type of humor. I'm going to use this type of storytelling. I'm going to use this kind of information sharing. I'm going to use these different tactics. And I think it's really just kind of all about understanding yourself and the customer. So you have to have some kind of understanding. You can't just, like I said, be blindly throwing stuff at the wall.
Yeah. It's a good start.
Yeah.
The nice thing is that we get to meet a lot of our audience because we go to a lot of trade shows, so they give us feedback all the time. They're like, oh, we loved this video that you did, or
we would like to see
doing
this.
so many videos.
Yeah.
So it's nice to get that feedback.
I think that's also something you can do on social too, right? Especially with Instagram, you can do a Q&A thing and be like, what do you want to see more of? Or do you I've seen a lot of fashion Instagrams do this, and they'll put two, purses up and be like, which one should we carry in our store, A or B?
Yeah.
And you can do a lot of market research on Instagram that you really can't do. And I think it's because of social media's personal connections that it forms. I have so many Instagram friends, which is such a weird thing to say, but people I've never met in real life, but we talk on Instagram, because Instagram and social media is just like a friend platform. So I think it's the platform where businesses stop being these omniscient entities, and it's oh, it's my friend, it's my best friend, or it's these people that are running it. So you can really talk to them and be like, oh, hey, tell us in the caption what you want to see next, or should we keep doing videos, or are we annoying you with our videos?
Yeah.
And you can really talk to people. So I think that's another super valuable thing that especially niche businesses can really take away, is being what do you want?
Yeah. So cool. All right, this is a really long question, so I'm just going to read it off the page. All right. The Buffalo Creative's Instagram has become an educational resource in its own right. You use many case studies and log captions that are almost like mini blogs. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Was that always your plan with your page, or how can B2B companies create go-to resources for their own audience?
Okay, so
It's a lot.
The first part of that question is kind of the mini blog thing. So there are obviously other social media marketing companies in Buffalo. I'm not the first person to think of this genius idea. But I think you have to always be distinguishing yourself. So even as whatever your business is, whatever your niche is, why do I want to follow you? There's 10 different social media or social media marketing Instagrams or whatever, and they all have pretty pictures and all these things. Why does someone want to follow mine when they can follow any of these other 9 ones? So kind of that was my way of kind of distinguishing myself, is that I saw that a lot of all of the other social media marketing, it's kind of just look at our clients, look at what we do, this is how good we are. But from what I've learned with Step Out Buffalo and the questions that our sales team gets, is that people want to know, how can I do this myself though? I can pay you, but I also want to know and understand. So I think just that's kind of what I wanted to do, is be hey, you can't do this yourself. It is social media, which is the beauty of social media, is it's all free. So if as long as you understand it, you can do it. But there's so much to understand that it's really overwhelming, and it's literally my full-time job at Step Out. So I was how can I give people tidbits and little bite-sized chunks? So that's kind of something. And then I also have been experimenting on Buffalo Creative, and I've noticed I'll post something and then realize it didn't do well and be okay, why did this do well? And then I'll kind of deep dive into it, and then it's something I thought of one day. I was like, why am I keeping this information to myself? Like, I'm sure there's other businesses that are posting something and being like, this is a great post. Why isn't it landing?
Yeah.
And then I would kind of, like, I just did that recently with the post, and I was like, oh, I looked at my audience insights, and I noticed that I posted this at, like, Saturday at 3 o'clock. Well, most people are out on Saturdays. No one's home. So if I would have just looked at my own audience insights, I could have seen that that's when my audience dips, and I should post it, like, Monday night at 8 o'clock instead. So I think that's kind of just what I wanted to do, is I wanted that to be part of my brand, is like, I know what I'm doing, and I also want you to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And if you don't have time to do what you want to do, you can always call me, because I can help you.
Yeah, that's really smart.
So that was kind of always my plan with the page. In the beginning, I did start just kind of like doing pretty pictures, and I would do like once in a while do like a helpful post, but then I saw in my experimenting that was what people would message me the most about or comment the most on. So I was like, okay, that's kind of the direction that I should go. And then I started just doing basically long mini blog post type captions.
Cool.
Again, the second part of your question, how can B2B companies create go-to resources for their own audience? I think most companies, I think, are their own audience, right? Like, your company was founded out of a need because your founders were like, this is annoying, how can we fix this problem?
Right.
So I think most companies are their own audience, and I think it's just a lot of self-awareness and kind of thinking of like, what would I find helpful? Or like, I did this, why did I do this? I should tell people I did this because someone else who's following me is obviously interested in my company and what we do, so they could probably find this helpful too. So I think if you want to be a go-to resource, you have to provide helpful information. I think the best way to do that is to be like, what do I find helpful? Because I'm my own audience. So if you're a makeup company and you find a really cool makeup tutorial or something, okay, like, I'm going to share this with you because I found it interesting, and like, if you follow me, you're obviously into this too. So
Yeah.
here you go.
Nice. So obviously a very high level goal for social media is you want everything to come back to your website, and you
Yeah.
want lead generation, you want to have that online presence, but what other things can social media do for you? So how can it help you with, like, we use our Instagram for recruiting a lot, and then obviously brand awareness. So why are those things just as useful as like leads coming in?
Yeah, I think social media, I think first and foremost is like a brand awareness tool. Like, if you have a bad social media presence, then, I mean, imagine if you're an outsider, you're going to someone's social media page and you go there and you're like, oh no, never mind. Like, I almost don't trust this company because like your Instagram page or your social media isn't cute. And I think we are in an era where like that's how we judge how reputable a company is.
Yeah.
So like, if you want to be a player in this game in 2020, like, you have to have a banging social media profile, or like, I'm not going to trust you. And just like a fun example, we were in Poughkeepsie for my cousin's wedding, and my cousin needed to get her hair done because she forgot her tools at home. It was this whole thing, and she literally went straight to Instagram to find a bunch of salons in the area. And I was sitting there with her, and she's like, no, like, I don't like the way they're doing their hair, or they look like they don't know what they're doing because their posts on social media are whack. So like, she literally went to a salon because of their Instagram page, and that's how she kind of judged how good they were. And I actually noticed as a consumer, especially when I travel, that's how I'll go to a restaurant. It's like, if I go to a restaurant and your vibe is weird, or like your posts are like stock photos, I'm like, but like, if I go somewhere and it's like, I can't even, like, Toutan's photos, I'm like, oh yes, hello. So I think it's social media, in addition to being like a lead source, is also just kind of like, how reputable are you? So like, how much do you know what you're doing in today's modern market? Are you still sitting in 1980, or are you in 2020 and you know what to do and how to talk to people? And I also think that just the way people are shifting now, like, that's where people are. So like, if you want people to follow you, you want people to talk about you, you want customers and that kind of organic word of mouth conversation happening around you, like, you need to be on social media, because most people are going to be like, oh yeah, did you see Debotsu's latest steam bun? It was on their Instagram. Like, we should totally go there. So it is like a lead generation, but it's also just a word of mouth, top of mind, keep reminding people you exist kind of thing. And I think that's probably like the biggest part of social media that's so important. Like, it's not always going to make you like $100 million a year because you're just going to get leads, but it's kind of a constant presence and awareness and reminder, like, for when people are eventually ready for you, they'll be like, oh yeah, like, I really like that company because XYZ, so I'm going to go with them.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Well, that is all we have. That was very informative and I'm sure very helpful for a lot of people, maybe even Emily. She does our social media. But thank you so much. Thank you, Lauren, for joining us.
Of course.
And like and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.